Even in his early years, Ernie Yaroshuk had a knack for hitting the baseball. He attended Miami-Jackson High School, where he was all-city in baseball and basketball. It was then that he first crossed paths with another Hurricane Hall of Famer, Larry Wilson.
We sort of grew up on the sandlots of Miami together, and Ernie was always somewhat a little bit on the aloof side, but quite a talented athlete. He played basketball probably as well or maybe better than he played baseball.
Ernie arrived at Miami in 1960 and played freshman basketball, but was a 3-year starter in baseball. When his senior season came around in 1963, Ernie found himself playing for a new Miami head coach, Ron Frazier.
I was going to try and change some things, and I was going to go with the younger ball players, put in a different kind of philosophy and theory of playing the game. And Ernie was a senior, and I kept Ernie because he was the kind of guy that I thought would be a good leader, and he was. He was one of those guys that he led by his performance, and everybody respected him. And we had a better ball club because of him. His father was a very special guy. He was made violins and came with that skill from the old country in Russia. And he used to come to me. He didn't know from this baseball, and he was very skeptical with baseball. And he used to say to me, "Well, what about his hands?" And I think you probably would have loved to have had Ernie as to play the violin. But he used to always ask me about his hands, and I used to try and talk to him about baseball. But he came around, and he was a great fan.
In 1963, Yaroshuk batted .448. To this day, the second highest season average in Hurricane history.
I've always contended that in order to be a successful baseball player, you have to be as well coordinated or perhaps better coordinated than any other sport. Eye-hand coordination is probably one of the greatest skills that Ernie had, and I think that helped him a great deal as a hitter.
Ernie had great work habits. He practiced and he hit, and I remember DiMaggio coming down here with a team of young, outstanding players, and Ernie had a little bit of a hitch, and I had talked to DiMaggio, and I said, "Yeah, I have a guy with a hitch, and I guess you never had a hitch, And he said, "Yeah, I did." So Tony Lazzari, a great infielder for the Yankees, used to go out there with a bag of balls, and he used to throw real quick pitches to DiMaggio where he didn't have a chance to hitch, and he just hit the ball and bring it back, hit the ball, bring it back. And so we started doing that with Ernie. I started doing that with Ernie, and he jumped at it, and he broke his hitch, and I like to think that maybe it had something to do with hitting him 400.
Yaroshuk became the first of Ron Frazier's Miami ballplayers to sign a professional contract, joining the Philadelphia Phillies organization. He later played for the Miami Marlins. Tonight, he enters the University of Miami Sports Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, Ernie Yaroshuk.